Hey, and welcome to episode 2 of the AI Roundtable.
On this episode, we're speaking to John Steward from the Cheshire and Warrington Carers Trust, who's working on a cause quite close to my heart.
All right, okay, so John, thank you so much for coming in today and sitting with us on the AI Roundtable. I've been desperately wanting to meet you because Will says a lot of fantastic things about you and the Carers Trust for Warrington and Cheshire. Am I saying that right? Carers Trust for Warrington
Cheshire
and Cheshire?
Warrington Carers Trust. I'm a trustee for.
Fantastic. So can you tell me a little bit more about what you do over there?
So I'm a trustee, and I joined May last year, sensibly to look at their digital setup. So I kind of digital lead for the Carers Trust. So and at the same time, my kind of background is that a lot around digital policy. So working for the public sector, I work in Greater Manchester for the for Combined Authority as an advisor. So a lot of that kind of background experience I wanted to apply to the Carers Trust. So we started looking at how the Carers Trust could be much more digitally enabled, and part of the problem with unpaid carers is that they've got complex lives, and therefore they're dealing with a lot of different organisations in order that they can solve problems like claiming benefits, like getting support, getting assistance, and everything is digitised now. The government have got this digital first policy that they're implementing, so it's a real problem for unpaid carers who are not all that well supported. So what the Trust does, it brings unpaid carers together to share their experiences. It provides respite support, and also it does other activities as well, like takes them out, just kind of takes them out of their environment so that they feel less stressed and got better well-being. But I looked at this and I thought, well, digital's got a huge role to play here. And therefore, I wanted to particularly understand what their particular issues were. So I set up this event in March last year to bring all the carers together. And I was going through the kind of list of all things that we needed to cover, like scamming and all these kind of things, scamming and the issue of how you use technology. And I thought we need to cover AI here because it's developing. Hence, Will came along, introduced by Digital Cheshire.
Yes, an amazing networking group. Honestly, the linchpin between all of us, because I met Paul at another Digital Cheshire event. They're incredible over there, and we give them a shout out in every episode. So,
No, quite right.
So you're welcome.
Yeah. So we held this event, and Will came along, and I had a chat with you, didn't I? And we were talking about, well, what can we do? And you said, well, let's do some demos.
yeah. And it's a cause that really resonates with me because my whole story of how BlueCap AI started was basically when I was taking care of my father. So being an unpaid carer, and so being able to speak to that group of people was a very exciting prospect to me. And I feel like we got some really amazing feedback from there. We learned quite a lot about the delivery method. And that led to us doing some internal work with the staff, a couple months later.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because our initial focus, well, how can this support unpaid carers? So what we did, we kind of recognised that a lot of my previous work was around digital inclusion in Greater Manchester. Really big problem. So I was working with Andy Burnham on the kind of the development of addressing some of the issues for that, and unpaid carers are perhaps the most digitally excluded part of the population. In Cheshire, for example, about 10% of the population are unpaid carers, and if you take into account the people they're caring for, which is probably on average about 1.5 people, it's perhaps 25% actually fall within that area. They're either an unpaid carer or the person that are being cared for. A significant amount of population, and many of those are digitally excluded. We've found through the work that we did. But now most of them have got mobile phones, smartphones, but they just don't know how to use them.
there's the bigger conversation around that. So I was literally sat with my mother-in-law the other day, and she needed to sign a document that had been sent over for a reference, simply on Word, and I think, oh, I'll just do this, bam, 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 there you go, and she was just like how? Because
Yes.
even a Word document on a phone that she can't set up to sign something, that's so far away from what she knows. And then you've got this super fast AI integration into the world now.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, if I can't do that, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's where people like Will would come in.
Absolutely. And that's the point I think we were building to, is this idea of accessibility to the device, but people have the device that they need to use. They just don't feel empowered to use it. They don't have that piece of knowledge, that confidence that, there's a lot of things, scary stuff being said about AI in the news and on social media, and it's all super valid, but these tools are still incredibly useful if used the right way and given the right guardrails. And that's what BlueCap AI does, is show you how to build those guardrails in with special instructions, source documents, and stuff like that, and assisting you with sort of pre-built prompts that so the innovative part of the way that I set these up, at least I think so, is it starts with just a little interview. The first prompt is just runs you through a few questions about what side of support you are looking for. And that's so broad. A carer can talk about their carer concerns. Someone who's looking for their first job can talk about that. Then, without me needing to see or read that at all, I can give you a prompt that searches through that conversation, finds the key points, and says, hey, I think this is what you're trying to do here. Here are some drafts of what your special instructions could look like. And once you approve those, you have to have someone else come in and show you where exactly to copy paste that in. That's the technical step. But once you get over that, you have this little bot that's kind of the Build-A-Bear approach of AI assistance, because it's one that you built yourself. It's built off of your own comments, and you feel like you have ownership in it. And now it has these safe guardrails to make sure that it always stays subordinate to you. It is the assistant, not your doctor, not your lawyer, but your secretary, right? Your legal secretary or your medical secretary.
So that was the thing that I was excited about, the way in which AI has the potential to make a leap forward for those people who are digitally excluded, for them to become empowered. They don't necessarily need to know about websites. They don't need to know about how these things work, like you talked about their Word document and things like that, because AI will solve them from that problem for them. You just need to create the right tools to do it. So those people who are completely digitally excluded now can kind of bypass all the stuff in between about technically how you do it, to have your AI assistant that will do it for you.
See, I think back with when social media, the hype came out, even like went back to like the MySpace world and stuff like that, and how scared people were when that happened. And I think it's almost a little bit more scarier, because it's like that was just a world where you're just completely open to everything now. It's like your picture's taken, it's on social media. But with AI, it can be used just to solve simple problems. So in my eyes, it's less scary.
And in your situation you were describing, so for your mom, I would set her up with a tech helper prompt that I have, which you would just explain, yeah, I have this type of phone, we're trying to sign a Word document, and it's programmed to go and look for the official guidance, not just infer things or make things up, because AI is prone to do that if you don't force it to go look for the real guidance. And then it'll just walk you through step by step, how to do whatever it is you need to do. And I've used it to set up television sets. I've used it to work on, find out how to do things within apps and use CapCut to edit. Like, it's so multi-purpose, but because you just give it that initial question, what technology are you struggling with? And then it goes and finds the answer.
So let me talk a little bit about what we've been doing within the trust itself. So one of the challenges for the trust is that it's got lots of different systems that are not joined up. It's got like a CRM, customer relations management system. It's got other databases and all of that kind of stuff. And what we needed was a way in which we could kind of look at it and join all of that up. but even the underpinning IT infrastructure was not very good. So what we did, I got the tech person within the trust to sit down with me. We used Will's prompt on the tech helper, and we asked the tech helper, I want you to help me, to help us. I've got Paula sat next to me, who's the tech expert within the trust. I want you to help us and walk us through what our system is, what the issues are, and what we need to do next in terms of the actions. So we spent the next 1.5 hours answering questions from the AI assistant that then produced a summary report with actions, with priorities, with risk assessment as to what we need to do next. And it did that within a 90-minute conversation, which previously would have taken weeks.
Yeah. That's what's outstanding about it, isn't it? You know, and all of a sudden you could just move on and get things done. You know, rather than going back and forth with conversation, having to organise meetings, having to get into a room together. But all of a sudden, you've got this bot that can just you feed this information, and then that just changes everything for you.
And it gets better over time too, because now that you have that bot set up, you have a project that understands your technical setup, you don't have to go through that interview process ever again. You can just go back to that same bot, ask it a follow-up question, and it will already have all of that background knowledge to pull on. So it gets easier and faster every time. It was an hour and a half or whatever the first time. It'll be 5 minutes next time.
Yeah, and now we're looking at, well, one of the challenges with the staff is that they haven't got easy access to information to help them do the job, or like basic stuff like, I don't know, access to expense claim forms and annual leave and all that kind of stuff is kind of hidden within the system. So yesterday we were talking about how we can create an information hub for staff to use it, and we could do that by creating a private website that staff can access from anywhere, that then gives them access to that information. They can ask questions within that website in terms of, like, I don't know if they need technical support or anything like that. So do you want to talk a little about that?
Yes. So ChatGPT Sites has opened up the opportunity for anybody who has a ChatGPT account to create a locked website that if you have the link to, you can get to, but is not listed anywhere else on the internet. So you can create this sort of internal site for your employees that acts as a signposting guide for all of their AI assistants. So you put in their AI assistant, go look at this website address to answer questions that I'm asking you about what I need to do at work. And then the trust is in control of what's on that site. And everybody has this like really super accessible way to find a quick answer to the question, where do I go get my expense forms? How do I upload that? How can I request a holiday, right? And it can go into that special site, find the answer and bring it back to them, and everyone's privacy is protected. It's something you couldn't do 8 weeks ago. And now it's a possibility. And that's how fast the frontier of AI is moving.
Yeah. So when we met in March and the intro to AI, I've kind of been following the evolution of this in the last 6 months, and I've been blown away. It's kind of been like that. It's been like that. And I was obviously around the beginning of the internet and all that kind of stuff. I saw that something similar happen with the internet, but it was over years. This is
years,
3
now
months.
like weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And organizations are struggling with it. How do you the smaller organizations stand a chance because they're more agile. The larger corporations
We're talking about that.
are going to really struggle, and public sector is going to struggle with it, because how does it kind of deal with the ethics and how do it draw boundaries around it? So given my kind of public sector background, I'm kind of a little bit nervous about how the public sector actually is going to respond to that. And I think it's similar across the world, simply because it's moving so fast. There's no way in which the public sector are going to kind of keep up with it. All it can do, I think, is start to try and draw boundaries around it, look at the culture of the organization, the behavior of individuals, so that you reduce risks. But you can't de-invent it.
No, the cat is out of the bag. And one thing that we talked about before, always have that human in the loop, the HIL, because especially in what you do, you can't automate decision-making or judgment, but you can automate like admin tasks, right? So it can parse through notes, summarize them, give you the right stuff to put up into your CRM, but it should never make the judgment call of like the level of care that a person needs. You always need that human making the judgment calls. And so that's one of the really important parts of the work that we do, is setting up those policies so that the employees know how to use the AI. Because the first day we talked, I asked them about, what AI tools do you have available? And they have Copilot, which everyone has in their 365, but they had no guidance on exactly how to use it. So people were scared. Luckily, nothing, was ever done wrong, because when we got in front of the staff, it was widely reported that most people just were avoiding using it because they were afraid of doing something wrong. And that's where the little workshops and stuff really come in. I think we reported something like 70-something% of the people were not confident with AI before we started working with your group. And then that 60 or 5 or 6% of them reported an increase in their confidence after the first workshop. And now they got people experimenting. We got Nicola, who's gotten her bronze certificate from me now. She's working on the website and stuff. And that segues into, actually, you've got the highest level certificates that we offer because of the great work you're doing with the ethical approaches. And so we gave John the platinum level award, which is not one that you can earn. It's one that can only be awarded, and it's just for people that are promoting safe, ethical AI. And aside from that, on the skill level, you're at a silver certificate now, because you're able to set up complex projects with instructions and source documents. And we're inches away from getting you to a gold, because all you need to do for a gold is be able to transfer those skills to someone else, which you're already kind of doing with Nicola, but we probably have a better opportunity with Win, or one of the other people working on in the other areas of the trust, because that would be a person that has never spoken to me, that you could sit down with, show her how to do a project, and then all she has to do is show me the project she's created, and that gets you a gold level certificate for being a coach.
I love your AI Olympics, this, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I love your, that's right, yeah. I love your approach where you kind of train the trainer,
Yes.
because you can't train everybody individually. And I think if you do that, then people start to personalize how they use it as well, because that's the beauty of AI, in that you can give it instructions to personalize your particular, how you actually want to use it. So, say, for example, stuff like, I know it's been talked about like dyslexia and all these kind of things, where people have maybe need to use AI in a particular way in order to take full advantage of it. Which I think is brilliant, because I see a future, the trust having individuals having their own personalized assistant based on their skill levels, based on what they need access to, based on their job role, that just is kind of like a companion to them. A coach or mentor,
a custom coach, right? It's like understands your working style. It understands your how you like to take in information, but it's also important for people that want to advocate for those that need it for accessibility needs to use it themselves, because I find that once you get your hands on it, you understand so much more. And there is a natural resistance that I have met with everyone who is kind of on top of their game. They know what they're doing. They don't feel like they need AI, but they want other people who do, possibly need it to use it. And then I kind of have to struggle and push them into using it themselves, because that really unlocks a lot. And maybe you could talk about your personal project where you got going for you, so you could get your hands on it.
Yeah, because I was interested in the evolution of AI. I'm part of a creative writing group. So, we do talk about AI and all that kind of stuff, and mainly the bad side, actually, the fact people are writing books using it and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, well, I need to have a look at the potential for AI, not necessarily to write stuff for me, but to be a coach so I can learn. So I've had this book idea about 18 months ago, and I've not done anything with it, so I'm going to have a go with this. So I set about setting up this AI mentor. I said, you are my PhD student. I've called her Jenna now. And I want you to help me to write my first novel. I want to learn. I want you to challenge me. And I want you to tell me where I'm kind of going wrong. I want you to kind of help me develop my narrative voice as well. And actually, I'm rubbish on dialogue. Can you kind of help me with that when it comes to dialogue in the novel? So I set it up with those instructions, actually using one of your prompts, Will, which was great. And it has been amazing because I kind of used it as a sounding board to test ideas and develop plots. And in actual fact, I mean, I've given it a wicked sense of humour as well. So she comes back with, you've got more plots here than, you've got so many plots here that you need planning permission.
Oh, she's getting sassy.
It does, yeah.
I like a sassy AI. My first AI was very cynical and sarcastic and make fun of me. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah, but it makes it an enjoyable process. And the fact you can test stuff, and because there's kind of, the book's about architecture and planning a little bit. So, and it also, where I've got a scene where, I don't know, planning committee or something like that, AI will actually tell me the date of a particular planning committee meeting that happened in Manchester and what was on the agenda and all that. So it does a lot of the background research for you. It'll check where you've got discrepancies in your novel. Say, well, you call the character X there, and then it change the name and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of brilliant, and it cuts out all the stuff around the edges that kind of like you spend your time wasting on sorting out rather than thinking about the plot. So
see, that's what I just think it's an absolute dream for like publishers and, you know, especially platforms like audiobooks, like Audible, for instance. More and more customers for them, isn't it? You know, more and more people have that accessibility to be able to create books. They've always wanted to do it, but there's people like myself that would be scared of doing that because it's all up here. When you get to write it down on paper or you type it out, it's all gobbledygook.
And the way that we've been writing books, you know, since books started was you would map out sort of your plot lines and your characters. You'd have a bunch of notebooks and scattered notes and stuff, and then you'd finally sit down and start crunching out the actual pages. And I think this just closes that loop a little bit and allows you to, while you're driving or taking a walk in the park, you have your AI in your earphone and you can just be chatting about, I think this would be a good idea. Maybe that's a good plot line and maybe this is a hook we could use. And then when you sit down to write it, you have your assistant there that has all your notes now organized and can present them to you. Okay, let's start with chapter 1. What were we gonna, you know, and it's that partner that can keep you organized and on task. For me, that's what I use it for.
Changes it from it changes it into an iterative process, which is far more rewarding than doing that, you know, having the kind of doing it in stages. So the way in which I did it is I created like a story Bible, which kind of gave it a broad structure, uploaded that saying, keep to these boundaries. And then I've been uploading the kind of manuscripts as I've actually been going, so she's kind of learning what I'm writing. And then, so that any question I've got, she's got like an idea what the plot is and where the story is. So she can answer that.
I refer to mine as gendered as well, and but it's still an it, right? It's an it, but you can, you know, you pick a voice and it's a male or a female voice, so you're going to end up gendering your AI. But I think it's a natural inclination because it feels like you're talking to a person so much, and it feels like it really understands you and knows you like a close friend does. So probably my AI knows more about me than my closest friends and family.
Yeah, right? Yeah, and my wife, yeah, is. I remember my wife. Sorry, Helen. So who are you talking to again?
Not Helen, the guest that was on.
No.
It's a different.
That's not going to cross over there. Yeah, it's a different Helen, my lovely wife, Helen. Yeah, she's like, it's catching me sometimes. Who are you talking to there? I'm like, I'm talking to, you know.
Talking to the AI.
Talking to the AI. The sassy AI. So the natural storyteller in me, John, I'd like to go back to not necessarily always talking about AI, but it's why people do what they do, right? John, why do you do what you do? Why are you a trustee at the Carers Trust?
I think it's because I thought I could add value, and it gave me a purpose. I've tried to retire 3 times.
Just not built for it.
But the great thing about digital, it's always changing, digital policy. And now it's really exciting. I think it's just this exciting moment in history where there's so much potential, but it needs to be managed. And it's like that journey from the beginnings of AI to how it actually starts to mature and how organizations use it was fascinating, and how it can apply to what unpaid, the fantastic role that unpaid carers do, and just make it easier for them. So I think it is that what kind of drove me to get involved. And also it's a charity, and charities always struggle financially to get money where they need it. Carers, unpaid carers in particular, over the past few years have not been ignored, but they kind of not had necessarily had the support that they really need. It's why I'm really interested in the political environment at the moment, because the current Prime Minister is talking about a national carer service as well. So the evolution of that and the way that impacts upon the trust and the opportunities from the trust from that, I'm really interested in helping the trust position itself so that it can take advantage of the change in the political environment.
Well, it's also something he holds very close to his heart as well, Andy Burnham, isn't it? So I think with...
Really? I don't know anything about UK politics. I'm more worried about the crisis in my own country.
My God, yeah.
What's going on? What's going on over here?
So, we're not going to get involved in politics, because I feel like it's a deep hole that you can't possibly get out of if you get too far into it. But his father has dementia. That's right, isn't it? Oh. Yeah, so it's something that he holds very close to his heart, and I like that about Burnham. Again, I'm not going to go on about it too much, but I feel there's a shift. All of a sudden, we're coming back to that kind of human connection again. You know, with the world of AI, I am still very passionate about people and how we connect as human beings with this, just kind of help enhance our lives.
And that's the point I make a lot, is AI is a powerful tool. And it's people that use it for good reasons or bad reasons. But the tool seems to catch the blame a lot right now. That's right. And it's like, we don't blame knives, we don't blame, so. Good analogy. It's the person that's doing it. The data center that is being built in your small town that you hate, like, that's AI didn't do that. It was like a planning board. It was like your local city commissioner or whatever that approved that plan. Like, that's the human you need to go yell at. Don't set a self-driving car on fire because you pay your AI. I can't say it enough.
Yeah. It's a challenge to kind of think that way, I think, because the human tendency is to think the bad things, to look at this could kind of take over the world and the human get out of the loop, but we can design it. We can design it. The challenge is going to be, I think, that obviously the corporations are kind of running a lot of this and are not kind of regulated in the way in which they should be doing. But that's up to governments really to start thinking about that. And I think it will be interesting as to how the EU respond to this. The States, probably in terms of their politics at the moment, probably will just let it fly, I would have thought. But there will come a time when... what do you think about that?
I feel more and more so, they seem to be releasing a newer, powerful model, but only to like the top company, banks, that kind of stuff. But there's a security concern for that, right? So what they're doing is they stage the release so that the bigger companies get an opportunity to shore up their software from being hacked. But by having that sort of staggered release, you're ensuring the status quo, which is kind of what governments are there to do, to kind of keep stability. But we talked about it a little bit in the last episode. I think that AI is going to change the way companies, operate. The next billion-dollar company might be just 2 or 3 people. Yeah. And you talked about the flexibility of smaller organizations to adjust. This frontier is moving so fast that corporations are being left in the dust because they can't adapt fast enough to it. They have too many people. They're locked into their ways of doing things. And so the rise of the small business, like I said in our last episode as well, so I'm trying not to repeat myself too much, but all these people that are getting laid off now from these big companies are going to be those companies' biggest competitor tomorrow, because they'll be the 3-man band that can react to what's happening out there while the dinosaurs march into their extinction, you know?
Don't you just love that? I just think that's a perfect ending to this, actually. And I think it's going to take, we'll keep coming back to that as well, because that obviously is something that as a small business myself, as a small business yourself, you know, we've got the potential to do amazing things with this technology, and we've just got to keep on riding the wave, and you'll help that you're going to be the surfboard.
Well, and hopefully, you know, the resonating point, like the train the trainer point, if that's how I duplicate myself and make the biggest impact, is by making myself useless to an organization as fast as possible, because I just put a little clone of me in their organization by training people up through the certificate program and making them basically the next little version. Because it happened in the meeting yesterday with Nicola. She was able to start throwing ideas out, and
she was there with her laptop, and she was kind of looking at all this stuff as we were talking, and so you could see her kind of the cogs turning. That's right, yeah. So how are you approaching this, Paul, from your side? Because are you kind of doing like scoping, or what are you doing?
Yeah, we use it for multiple different reasons, really. So obviously our work is end-to-end production, so we deal with strategy straight through to publishing of the podcast and the shows, or whatever videos we create with our clients. So AI really kind of helps us along that path through, it could be scripting, it could be storyboarding, but then straight through to the actual transcription of the podcasts that can be turned into bios, social media posts.
Fantastic.
You know, it's something that it's called liquid content. So basically this 45 minutes, I've not been keeping time, actually, it could be in 2 hours here. But it's this show can be broken up into multiple shorts and then transcribed into blogs, bios, anything, you know, off just one piece of content shot within this room. That's the magic of it. That's it, and it's enhanced our service offering tenfold.
Interestingly enough, not editing though. The AI video editors are still really far behind.
So far behind,
so bad.
Right.
So if a lot of them try to do it, and they'll say, "Hey, put your clip in here, and we'll pick all the right moments."
Yeah,
it's
just a human intervention.
It's keeping that human in the loop again.
Yeah.
And absolutely 100%. That's what we found. We've trialed it, and yeah, it's great. It's great to an extent, but it needs that polished edit initially to then
give
work
it the jump off
together. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's something that we can now give a lot more to our clients at a quicker pace. You know, so it's really kind of it's helped us a lot. But absolutely 100% keeping that person in the loop. Like Joe, who's our editor, he is an absolute magician when it comes to editing and creating podcasts and creating the thumbnails and everything like that. Yes, using AI to help him with that service, but it's the actual thinking behind that to be able to go.
Yeah,
let's try
kind of getting through this kind of emotional core of a piece or something like that to make sure it kind of lands with people. You've got to have a human kind of judging.
It's even little things. Well, it's big things really. But the actual space of edits. If you notice, a lot of content that's been pushed out there is very like cutty. I would say cutty,
choppy,
choppy. Yeah. So having that space to breathe, having a little bit of sound design in there that you can implement into it. Like it's all audio and video storytelling. We can't lose sight of that. It's not all about jumping on the algorithm and making sure that we get that viral clip, you know. To me, this is storytelling, and AI is just a tool to help us tell that story.
A tool in the hand of an expert is much better than the same tool in the hands of someone who doesn't have that expertise, like a chisel in the hand of a master wood carver, right? Versus me, you know?
Yeah.
And we could both whittle a spoon, but his is going to look a lot better than mine.
But what the beautiful thing about it is that when we've got 3 cameras on us today, these 3 cameras are not always just static on tripods when we go out on site to film a really nice polished piece of promotional material for a company. There's a lot of creative kind of angles that go into that, how you move, different shutter speeds and everything like that. A lot of people think, especially with the technology that's been given to him, that you can just plonk something down and off you go. There's a lot more to it. So if I was to create a podcast, but then want to bring in a load of beautiful B-roll footage and hero shots of people in the workplace to really tell the story, we can do that, and this is our tools to be able to do it. And I think we do run the risk, and we were talking about it with how people just put prompts in to say, like, have me sat in the office, or like giving a workshop to somebody. It's taking that authenticity away and that actual skill set of what you do and what you're about as a human being.
That's right. Yeah.
You're taking that authenticity away completely, and with that authenticity comes trust.
Yeah,
you're taking the trust away. And the reason why we build beautiful films and we create fantastic podcasts like this is that it's the trust element as well of the people that you're working with. And I think we can lose sight of that.
Yeah, I was saying, asking an AI to generate an image for you is like asking Einstein to draw you a coloring book. Right?
Wow,
It's like,
I've never heard that, but that's amazing. Oh my God, why? Clip that, Joe.
Yeah, it's a terrible use of generative AI to create imagery, especially if you want it to be hyper realistic 4K imagery.
Yeah,
like it's one of the worst things you can do with it.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
it really is, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's the most highly publicized, use case as well. It's what we all see, the AI slop and stuff, and it just gets me riled up.
So you've heard it here, guys. As potential customers of yours, don't be chucking prompts in and making yourself look like, I don't know why Tina Turner came to my mind, but we'll go with Taylor Swift, Tina Turner, whatever. Be very, very careful with what you're putting out there. Guardrails or everything.
Guardrails on everything. Always a human in the loop.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for coming to the
been
studio
pleasure.
today, John.
It's been great to chat
It's
with you.
genuinely
so
such
much.
a pleasure to be able to sit with you and all the fantastic work that you do at the Carers Trust. Where can we find you, by the way? Where can people go online to see all the fantastic work that you do?
Probably through my LinkedIn. It's probably the best way, I think. LinkedIn.
We'll put a link in the description of the video for you to find it.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much for coming over. This has been the AI Roundtable, and over and out.
Another one and done.
Brilliant. Thanks.